All right, so this is how I closed 357% more jobs with this one simple change. Okay, this is like almost three times the amount. So this works across obviously our focus, which is roofing renovations, but across basically every industry in any market, right? And this one change ultimately is focusing on phone sales. And the big why, because you were probably expecting something outrageously cool or weird. It's just this. It's really really simple. It's really really boring. It's focusing on phone sales. Anyone can call up someone a lead, but doing it well requires skill. So why? Understand that if you can't get customers on the phone, then you will never ever be able to book them in for an appointment, and thus never ever be able to close them, right? Because 90% of the time, phone sales is bottlenecking the whole entire revenue generation process. And the clients that we work with, roofers, renovators, they're naturally sales reps. They're good on the tools. They're good with, site, project management, all of that. But they usually lack in sales, even though they don't like to admit it or they like to blame marketing for it, right? So this one change, focusing on phone sales, can be broken down into two parts. Number one is installing a team member whose sole job is to sit, call leads fast, and then be persistent with follow-ups. So this person is called an appointment setter. This can be remote as well, so it's really, really nice and simple. You don't have to get an office for the person to come in. And number two is implement a standardized process of 9 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. 7 days a week to call all leads within 3 to 5 minutes, no matter what for, with the person manning the phone. So this is called speed to lead, okay? So number one is the appointment setter. So as a trades-based business owner, you're a specialist in your trade and in your business, not a phone sales rep. So you have to delegate sales if you aren't good at it. You can't do everything yourself. So you have to get the right frameworks, scripts, what questions to ask, how do you ask, tonality. Like a big one is how do you qualify? How do you qualify leads? What do you say to them, right? When you report, at the end of the day, how do you report your sales process? How do you report what to log, what data to track? For example, pickup rate, meaningful conversations, all of that. And another big one is objection handling. Like, what do you say when faced with objections? Like, just send me an email or let me speak to my wife. Do you let them do it and then never hear back from you? What do you say? And how do you build trust, right? What material do you send before the appointment to nurture and warm up the prospect? So all of these things, if you work with us, you have access to these. If you would like some of these, let me know and I can send them across. Drop a comment below. And another big thing that we get is when you hire an appointment setter, is how do you hire one, right? For example, always interview a minimum of 5 candidates for hiring. When you train the appointment setter, right? What frameworks do you use? Do you hold the hand before letting them go? Like, how do you manage them overall? And when you deploy the appointment setter, right? Do you have the right reporting processes to make sure that you don't lose clarity on their performance? And just overall, how do you hire the right appointment setter that actually adds extra revenue instead of holding you down? So super important tip first is this, okay? You must be able to sell, so you must be able to do what you're going to delegate first. So you'll get a grip on the market, how customers talk, and then you pass that on. There's no way around it, right? You do it once and then delegate. Then you can have, that hired person. So for example, for a start, you need to know how to sell. Then you teach the next person how to sell. And then this person can become a sales manager and then keep teaching the next person afterwards how to sell. But you have to do it first. You won't be fun. Just like when you were on the tools previously and you let go, okay? A teacher cannot teach the student to a higher standard if he or she does not know the information in the first place. So it's a step-by-step process. It's not sexy, it's not fun, but you have to do it, okay? Number two is speed to lead. So there's a fun fact here, and a lot of people don't believe it, but it is a fact. How qualified a lead is 90% dependent on how fast you call the lead, right? So follow this rule. You're only allowed to judge whether a lead is qualified or not if you have called them within 3 to 5 minutes, okay? That's the rule. So if you look at it here within the first 90 minutes, right, the number of calls and just the lead quality just drops significantly from 5 to 10. That's like a 3x or 4x, right? All the way down to 90 minutes. You see that big drop there? So 90 minutes, the calls that become qualified literally drop. And if you look at it here, 78% of customers buy from the company that responds to them first. You're 21 times more effective when calling within the first 5 minutes as opposed to contacting them within the first 30 minutes. So 21 times. That's 2,100%, right? And 70% of companies respond to leads within the first 5 minutes, while 55% of companies respond within the first 5 days. So think of how big of a competitive advantage would you get if you did that. And you're 7 times more likely to qualify to lead when you reach out within an hour as opposed to 1 hour later. So a big misconception is quality of lead is dependent on the lead. In fact, the quality of the lead most of the time is dependent on how fast you call. Yes, if someone is completely unqualified, let's say you're selling a renovation service and they want to get, the shower screen changed, then you can't really do anything about it. But if they're genuinely qualified, then you genuinely are only allowed to say if they're qualified or not within the first 5 minutes. And you're 391% more likely to increase the lead conversions when you respond in 1 minute. So literally, the gist of the second bit of this process is to call the lead as fast as you can so you can make the best decisions possible. So most business owners think how qualified a lead is dependent on marketing. It's wrong 90% of the time, but yes, if you get a few that are unqualified from the beginning, then you can't do anything about it, right? They accidentally opt in, they accidentally give you the information, can't do anything about it, right? But 95% of the time, if the leads that we bring through, if they're qualified on location, for example, in Sydney, if they're qualified on budget, let's say 25 grand higher, and in the timeline urgency / they want to get started in 6 months, or not 6 months, 60 days. If that is the case, 1 to 3, okay, and you don't call them within 5 minutes, you can't say they're unqualified because they've already hit what's required physically to be able to work with you. So obviously, unless they lie, fill in the wrong information. So how qualified a lead is dependent on the appointment setting process. So when someone clicks on an ad and fills in the information, they're usually scrolling around on the phone, so bored and in a place to chat. So high availability, right? They're also thinking about the product or service, so thus clicking on the ad. So high intent, high sentiment. So how qualified a lead is, once again, is how fast you call them, right? Chances on picking up increases the faster you call them. How interested / keen they are, once again, how fast you call them. Chances of them allowing you to book in an in-house quote, how fast you call them. This is called speed to lead, and it's the largest determinator of the lead to quote ratio. So how many leads you turn into a quote, right, in your pipeline, that's very, very dependent on speed to lead. So that's how many quotes you can book from the lead, which is dependent. At the end, it results in how many opportunities you can to close the lead and do the quote. So here's a real life example, right? We've got Bob. He's on his phone and he clicks on an ad. What is Bob thinking and doing at that moment? He's on his phone during his lunch break. He's bored. He's waiting around, so he's available. He's thinking about the product or service after clicking on the ad, so he's high intent. If we call him within 3 to 5 minutes, what's the likelihood he's still on his phone and thinking about the product or service? High. So in this case, Bob will be qualified. You book him in and you close him, right? If you wait 3 hours later and he's mid-shift, what's the likelihood then of being available and high intent? Suddenly, Bob becomes unqualified. So he'll decline the call, he'll check his phone after work and go, someone trying to spam me or trying to sell me something. Or he'll reply, I'll call you back, and he'll never call back, and you have to get on the chase, right? So if we call him, let's say, after work when he's not mid-shift but time has gone by, and you call him and he picks up, but Bob's intent has dropped, but he's still available, but he's still no longer thinking about the renovation, then Bob could be unqualified. So let's say he's got his phone next to him, so he's available, but he's at the dinner table with his 3 kids and his wife. He's watching the local football game, and we call him and he picks up. So he's available. What's his knee-jerk reaction? Call me back later. Plus he might get pissed off, despite the same amount of interest as he had 5 minutes from when he clicked on the ad. So reduced intent, same availability. So the moral of the story is call instantly, 3 to 5 minutes of the lead notification. Ideally, you get the notification, you call. So if you call within the time frame, then you can actually make a clear judgment on if they're qualified or not. You're statistically selling more effectively if you just call faster. You're increasing your chances of making more money if you call your leads quicker. And if you work with us, you get a Slack notification as soon as the lead comes in like this. Name, email, phone number. You pick up the phone and you call the lead within 5 minutes. Obviously, within reasonable hours, not 11 p.m. or Christmas Day. It's usually 9 a.m. to 6:30 p.m., 7 days a week. If you take too long, you'll see that the lead has forgotten that they actually clicked on the ad, which is a big no-no. Low intent, low trust. They feel you're a spammer. And they could be doing something else and therefore does not want to speak to you. Low intent. Or doesn't want to answer questions and become very, very defensive or stingy. If that happens, or they go, who are you? Right? Or what do you do? Like, why are you calling me? So if you want to avoid that, you call them ASAP. And most of the time, how qualified a lead is dependent on the sales process rather than who generated the lead, so which is a big misconception. There's been instances where a company brought on one person whose sole job was to sit and immediately wait to call leads the second they came in, and they literally did nothing, just that. They used speed to lead to their advantage, and they were able to close 3 times more leads just by hiring one person that exactly did that. So call leads when they're the hottest, book them straight in, and close them before they ever speak to your competitor, right? Because when a lead clicks on an ad of yours on Facebook, on Instagram, the algorithm will naturally recommend similar ads. So they might click on 3 or 4. So you need to be fast, and they might also click on an ad of your competitors within the span of 10 minutes. So take advantage of this stat, right? People take forever to call, 7% call within 5 minutes, so to call as fast as you can. Take advantage of all of these stats, okay? So I'll just zoom in a bit more here. Take advantage of these, pause if you need to read it. So ultimately, right, you also have to understand that if you have a spouse or a partner or a team member, admin that can help you at the start, if I'm not available to back you up, do it. It'll be available, right? For example, over the weekend, you might have a family member help you, or when you're on the tools, or when you're XYZ, have someone help you to cover you. It'll be really, really beneficial. Add them, if you work with us, add them to the Slack channel and tell them about the importance of speed to lead, right? People don't believe it. They go, just get me better leads. No, you need to qualify better and get better at sales. So 90% of the time, a lead is unqualified because the sales rep usually, or the business owner or you, has not done sales properly, right? If you call a lead within 2 business days and wonder why they don't pick up, or why they don't want to talk to you, or why they don't remember you, you have to understand this. You need to blame sales before marketing. Always have notifications on Slack if you work with us. Speed to lead pays real dividends in the form of money, literal in closed jobs and money. So obviously you'll have the few odd times where lead lies and is a dick or whatever. That's fine. Just a big lesson here is don't be emotionally attached to move on. So that's that. And ultimately from all of this, what you have to understand is this, right? You have to understand you need the right frameworks, you need the right hiring process, and you need the right scripts to be able to do all of that and the right processes. So if you need help with any of those, if you need my sales scripts, if you want to potentially look at placing an appointment setter, or getting help with closing more sales, handling more objections, or even getting more leads to be able to call in the first place that are qualified financially, location, and urgency, then book a call with me below. Then we can chat about potentially helping you. And then if not, we'll give you a roadmap and you can implement that yourself. So let me know if you have any questions. We'll go from there. Cheers.